Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again today for wisdom readings. Today is Friday and it's my day. Thank you, Kulufedo, for assisting me last week. Really appreciate it. I really enjoyed the reading. Yeah, that mantra was very nice. Just like to thank everyone who's been reading the past couple of days. Itumiling was reading on Wednesday. We had Nomusa reading on Tuesday and Kulufedo on Monday, and we had Bongisipo on Sunday, but he had some technical difficulties. So Saga Sachitas Prabhu had to take over. But thanks everyone for reading. Really appreciate it. Please, I do encourage everyone to please go and catch those readings. They really are enjoyable. It's really nice to hear everyone's personal realizations and what they think about it. So today we'll be doing mantra 14. But before I get on to that, just like to say, please, feel free to join us every single day. We are here at 7 o'clock every day, Sunday to Sunday. There's a song actually by what's his name? I forget, but he says that I work like a Mexican from 10 to 10. So yeah, we work that hard for to bring out the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. But yeah, that's only allowed because of His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, who is assisting us and providing this information. So before I get started, once again, invite everyone to come and join us daily. And yesterday we had a reading of Krishna book. Please do encourage people to come and join us. It's really enjoyable and would really appreciate um, everyone's insight. The more, the merrier. It's nice to hear what other people are thinking. We can only ask so many questions. So before I get started, I'd just like to do invocation and then can get everything started. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the invocation is very important actually. So just to clear the ether and just to clear the mind and to bring in, auspiciousness and blessings to assist us with providing, or not providing, rather, with relaying this information in a proper way. But yeah, once again, thank you very much for joining us, and we can get started with mantra 14. That's it. So, Sri Isopanisad, we're reading from Sri Isopanisad. If you don't have your copy, you can get yourself one here at Wusa House, or you can go on Database and check it out there. You will be seeing it like how we are seeing it today. So just to make it easier, I'll be reading along with everyone here on the screen. Okay. Sam Butam Cha Vinasam Cha Yas Tad Vidu Bayam Saha Vinasa Sena Mrityam Tritva Sambut Yamritam Asnude. Sambhutam, the eternal personality of Godhead. His transcendental name, form, pastimes, qualities, and paraphernalia, and the very, this word always means the very veritationness, I'm not too sure. Very gatagiousness, I'm not sure. Of his abode. Yeah, someone please help me with that word. I appreciate it. Variegatedness. Thank you. Etc. Then cha and vinasam, the temporary material manifestation of demigods, men, animals, etc., with their false names, fame, etc. Cha also, ya, one who, tat, that, Veda knows, ubayam, both, saha, along with, vinasena, with everything liable to be vanquished. Mrityam, death. Tritva, surpassing. Sambhutya, sorry. In the eternal kingdom of God. Amritam, deathlessness. Asnute enjoys. Translation. One should know perfectly the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, as well as the temporary material creation with his temporary demigods, men, and animals. When one knows these, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge. Uh, that's actually a very important point here when Prabhupada is saying that one should know perfectly the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, as well as the temporary material creation of its temporary demigods. This is important because it's important to know where you're going, who you're going to serve, and that who you're going to serve, what does he look like, where does he live, what does he do, and are his consorts or the people that are with him. Which is a very common thing because generally, if you want to go to some place anywhere, even if your friend is inviting you to a party, you will ask who's going, who's there, what's there, where are we going, what's going to be there, well, what are we going to be doing. These are all natural questions so that you can make a decision as to whether I want to go there or not. If you hear that it's not a vibing place, there's not going to be the things that you want, the person that you want. Maybe there's even an enemy, someone who you consider as an enemy. You're unlikely to go. So hence it is very important to know where it is that you'll be going, what it is that they're doing there, their place, the pastimes, and and Krishna. But yeah, moving on. Um, Now to read the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. By its so-called advancement of knowledge, human civilization has created many material things, including spaceships and atomic energy. Yet it has failed to create a situation in which people need not die, take birth again, become old, or suffer from disease. Whenever an intelligent man raises the question of these miseries before a so-called scientist, the scientist very cleverly replies that material science is progressing and that ultimately it will be possible to render man deathless, ageless, and diseaseless. Such answers prove the scientist's gross ignorance of material nature. In material nature, everyone is under the stringent laws of matter and must pass through the 6 stages of existence: birth, growth, maintenance, production of byproducts, deterioration, and finally death. No one in contact with material nature can be beyond these 6 laws of transformation. Therefore, no one, whether demigod, animal, or plant, can survive forever in the material world. This purport by Srila Prabhupada actually further emphasizes the point that we should know the difference between the material nature and the spiritual nature. This is very important because it's very important for us to know where we are, what type of world we're in, what type of time we're in, and the condition of this place. This is important because if we don't know where we are, the condition of this place, what we are, what is our relationship with God, and what are we doing here, we then become very much confused. And not only do we become confused, we then create many ideas and many false solutions as how we got here or how to get out or also how to enjoy. Um, that's why you also get theories of when we have very intelligent people who say that after this life is death. You also get the theory YOLO, you only live once. So this is not very good because, as I said, if you don't know where you are, these can become very misleading and can lead one to live what the books say a hellish life, a hellish condition, in that one lives in complete ignorance and practically commits spiritual suicide because they have literally forgotten what they are and what is the purpose of this human body. So, yeah, it's very important for us to know where we are. The duration of life varies according to species. Lord Brahma, the chief living, the duration of life varies according to species. Lord Brahma, the chief living being within the material universe, lives for millions and millions of years, while a minute germ lives for some hours only. But no one in the material world can survive eternally. Things are born or created under certain conditions. They stay for some time, and if they continue to live, they grow, procreate, gradually dwindle, and finally vanish. According to the laws, even the Brahmas, of which there are millions in different universes, are all liable to death either today or tomorrow. Therefore, the entire material universe is called Mritya Loka, a place of death. Yeah, that's nice. Material scientists and politics are trying to make this place deathless because they have no information of the deathless spiritual nature. This is due to their ignorance of the Vedic literature, which contains full knowledge confirmed by mature transcendental experience. Unfortunately, modern man is averse to receiving knowledge from the Vedas, Puranas, and other scriptures. From the Vishnu Purana, Canto 6, Chapter 7, verse 61, we receive the following information. Vishnu Sakti Para Prokta Kshetra Gyakya Tata Para Avidya Karma Samgyana Tritiya Sakti Itsyate. Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, possesses different energies known as para, superior, and apara, inferior. The living entities belong to the superior energy. The material energy in which we are presently entangled is the inferior energy. The material condition, the material creation is made possible by this energy, which covers the living entities with ignorance, avidya, and induces them to perform fruitive activities. Yet there is another part of the Lord's energy that is different from both this material inferior energy and the living entities. That superior energy constitutes the eternal, deathless abode of the Lord. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 20. Paras tasmat tu bhavo nayo, I think. Vyakto vyakta vyaktat sanatana ya savesu bhutesu nas yatsu nasyatsu na vinasyati. All the material planets, upper, lower, and intermediary, including the Sun, Moon, and Venus, are scattered throughout the universe. These planets exist only during the lifetime of Brahma. Some lower planets, however, are vanquished after the end of one day of Brahma and are again created during the next day of Brahma. On the upper planets, time is calculated differently. One of our years is equal to only 24 hours or one day and night. On many of the upper planets, the four ages of Earth, sorry, on many of the upper planets, the four ages of Earth, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, last only 12,000 years according to the time scale of the upper planets. Such a length of time multiplied by 1,000 constitutes one day of Brahma, and one night of Brahma is the same. Such days and nights accumulate into months and years, and Brahma lives for 100 such years. At the end of Brahma's life, the complete universal manifestation is vanquished. There's actually a story about this in Krishna book. This is when I remember I first found out about how long Brahma lives and just how long certain things are for him, and how what appears long for us is very short for him. The story is that Brahma, seeing Krishna in Vrindavan, became very much confused and bewildered that how is this boy, this small little blackish boy, holding some food in his left hand, uncultured. He said, how is it that this boy is a supreme personality of Godhead? It is quite mystifying, actually, to the point where he felt that let me test and see indeed if he is. So what he did, he decided to steal all the friends of all the cowherd boys of Krishna. So he decided to take all the cowherd boys and the cows as well that were accompanying Krishna and Balaram. Yeah, he took them, and they had disappeared for one whole year. But Krishna, being the greatest mystic, the greatest yogi, was able to transform himself and make duplicates of everyone, not only of just a few, but everyone who was there, not only the cows, but also the cowherd boys. And these boys were also exactly like how they were when they were originally there. And even the parents actually did not notice. Actually, the parents became more infatuated with the children, and the cows became even more infatuated with the cows. So we hear that Brahma, when he did this, actually he just looked away for a moment, but that moment was equivalent to 1 year in in the time of Earth. So yeah, that's when I first came about that. Yeah. Mm. Those living beings who reside on the higher planets like the sun and the moon, as well as those as Mitya Loka, this Earth planet, and also those who live on lower planets, all are merged into the waters of devastation during the night of Brahma. During this time, no living beings or species remain manifest, although spiritually they continue to exist. This unmanifested stage is called avyakta. Again, when the entire universe is vanquished at the end of Brahma's lifetime, there is another avyakta state. But beyond these two unmanifested states is another unmanifested state, the spiritual atmosphere or nature. There are a great number of spiritual planets in this atmosphere, and these planets exist eternally. Even when all the planets within the material universe are vanquished at the end of Brahma's life, there are many material universes, each under the jurisdiction of a Brahma. And this cosmic manifestation within the jurisdiction of the various Brahma is but a display of 1/4 of the energy of the Lord. Ekapad Vibhuti. This is the inferior energy. Beyond the jurisdiction of Brahma is the spiritual nature, which is called Tripad Vibhuti, 3/4 of the Lord's energy. This is the superior energy or para prakriti. Mm. The predominating supreme person residing within the spiritual nature is Lord Shri Krishna. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 22, he can be approached only by unalloyed devotional service and not by the process of gyan, philosophy, yoga, mysticism, or karmi, fruitative work. Prabhupada, before I carry on, Prabhupada makes a very important distinction between the devotee and the gyani, the yoga, and the karmi. He says that the gyani, the yoga, and the karmi are never satisfied. Yeah, they are never satisfied. That they are always striving to attain more and more, in either in this life or in the next life. The karmis want to enjoy in this life, and even after they die, they want to enjoy in the heavenly planets. And the yogis want some mystic powers, and the gyanis are always searching after knowledge, and it is never satisfied. But the bhakti, the one who takes upon devotional service, he becomes satisfied by taking on that part of devotional service by serving Krishna. Actually becomes desireless, or if desireless, say it becomes Krishna. Yeah, so that was interesting to hear in the talk given by Srila Prabhupada. The karmis or fruitative workers can elevate themselves to Swagaloka planets, which include the sun and the moon. Gyanis and yogis can attain still higher planets such as Maha Loka, Tapa Loka, and Brahma Loka. And when they become still more qualified through devotional service, they can enter into the spiritual nature, either the illuminating cosmic atmosphere of the spiritual sky, Brahman, or the Vaikuntha planets, according to their qualification. It is certain, however, that no one can enter into the spiritual Vaikuntha planet without being trained in devotional service. On the material planets, everyone from Brahma down to the ant is trying to lord it over material nature. And this is the material disease. As long as the material disease continues, the living entity has to undergo the process of bodily change. Whether he takes the form of a man, demigod, or animal, he ultimately has to endure an unmanifested condition during the two devastations. The devastation during the night of Brahma and the devastation at the end of Brahma's life. If we want to put an end to the process of repeated birth and death, as well as the concomitant factors of old age and disease, we must try to enter the spiritual planet where we can live eternally in the association of Lord Krishna or his planetary expansions, his Narayan forms. Lord Krishna or his planetary expansions dominate every one of these innumerable planets, a fact confirmed in the Shruti mantras. Eko Vasi Sarva Ga Krishna Idya. Eko Pi San Baduda. Ya Yo Va Vapati. Gopala Tapani Upanisad, chapter 1, verse 21. No one can dominate Krishna. It is the conditioned soul who tries to dominate material nature, and it is instead subjected to the laws of material nature and the sufferings of repeated birth and death. The Lord comes here to re-establish the principles of religion, and the basic principle is the development of an attitude of surrender to Him. This is the Lord's instruction in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 66. Sarva Dhamman Parit Ja Mam Ekam Saranam Vraja. Give up all other processes and just surrender unto me alone. Unfortunately, foolish men have misinterpreted this prime teaching and misled the masses of people in diverse ways. People have been urged to open hospitals but not to educate themselves to enter into the spiritual kingdom by devotional service. They have been taught to take interest only in temporary relief work, which can never bring real happiness to the living entity. They start varieties of public and semi-governmental institutions to tackle the devastating power of nature, but they do not know how to pacify insurmountable nature. Many men are advertised as great scholars of the Bhagavad Gita, but they overlook the Gita's message, by which material nature can be pacified. Powerful nature can be pacified only by the awakening of God consciousness, as clearly pointed out in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 14. In this mantra, Isopanisad teaches that one must perfectly know both Sambhuti, the personality of Godhead, and Vinasa, the temporary material manifestation, side by side. By knowing the material manifestation alone, one cannot be saved. For the course of nature, there is devastation at every moment. Ahani, Bhutani, Gachantiha, Yama Layam. Nor can one be saved from these devastations by the opening of hospitals. One can be saved only by complete knowledge of the eternal life of bliss and awareness. The whole Vedic scheme is meant to educate men in this art of attaining eternal life. People are often misguided by temporary attractive things based on sense gratification. But service rendered to the sense objects is both misleading and degrading. We must therefore save ourselves and our fellow man in the right way. There is no question of liking or disliking the truth. It is there. If we want to be saved from repeated birth and death, we must take to the devotional service of the Lord. There can be no compromise, for this is a matter of necessity. Yeah, that can be read again. It's very nice reading, actually. We must therefore save ourselves and our fellow man in the right way. There is no question of liking or disliking the truth. It is there. If we want to be saved from repeated birth and death, we must take to the devotional service of the Lord. There can be no compromise, for this is a matter of necessity. This is a very important point that Prabhupada makes, that the truth is the truth. Whether we like it or we don't like it, we can accept or not accept. It really does not hurt. Don't want to speak for Prabhupada, but it does not really hurt so much the devotee, but rather it hurts the one who is not receptive of the information. Because if one is not receptive, then they are led to doing misleading activities, or their life is misled in that they serve the senses but don't serve the senses of Krishna. And when one serves their own senses, then it becomes very difficult to control one's senses, also to control what type of body you'll get in your next life. But not only that, it becomes extremely difficult to approach devotional service and to approach such information. Um, and we can see from the readings that Prabhupada, from the passage that Prabhupada is given, he is showing here us, especially when he is telling us about the devastation that we have, a devastation at the night of Brahma and a devastation at the day of Brahma, at the end of Brahma's life. So there are two devastations that take place. So this the universe is destroyed twice. That's 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 good to know. It's good to know, because then we understand that everything that we are trying to do in this world is pointless. Yeah, it's doomed to fail. As Krishna says, this world is Mritya Loka, a place where everything comes to die. It's important to know that, because then we'll understand that this world is a place of miseries. It is very much common now that we are seeing that everyone is trying to adjust their life in such a way that they can live here comfortably. A very common term is soft life. Yes, I want to live a soft life. No problems. Everything is nice. I'm not working. Everything comes easily. Money is there. Enjoyment is there. All comforts are readily available. This is the life for some people for some time, but even they will tell you that they are disturbed. Their minds are disturbing them, their body is disturbing them, they're suffering from old age, suffering from disease. Not only that, if they have children, they cannot control their children, so their children are also disturbing them. The elements of nature are disturbing them. So we can see that actually there's no enjoyment in this world. We are always being disturbed. Always. And the importance of this information is very good for us, because it gives us that information that we have to get out of here. And we won't know what is good from bad if we don't have this information. Have a question here from Bongisipo. Thank you for watching, Bongisipo. I appreciate it. Hare Krishna Prabhu. How can one be happy in this lifetime if such happiness is possible even? That's a very good question. I'll try to give an answer. When I was driving back to Joburg, I've forgotten when I was driving. When I was driving back to Joburg, I was listening to a few talks given by Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, and he was saying, actually, in this material world, there's no such thing as happiness. It is all suffering. It is just due to our lack of education that we cannot see that what we think is enjoyment is actually also suffering. But he says that if one actually wants to enjoy, because he says that is the whole purpose of this world, that we are all seeking enjoyment. We all want to enjoy. That is the natural aptitude of the spirit soul, to enjoy. So if one actually wants to enjoy, then one has to connect his senses with Krishna. Through that connection, one is actually able to enjoy properly. Because right now we are trying to enjoy through these false senses, or through this material body, which is in actual fact not us. So up until the spiritual soul becomes properly elevated and properly informed about himself and how to properly enjoy, there's no question of enjoying in this world. One can actually only enjoy in the association of devotees, in the association of Krishna, in the association of Krishna Katha. That is the only time one can actually be called enjoying and have an experience of proper enjoyment, where the soul is enjoying your true identity. So in this world, material world, if one isn't trying to enjoy through his senses, we can actually have practical example how we are always frustrated in our enjoyment in material life. Whether you like a food, it might be your favorite burger, your favorite sabji, your favorite naan, whatever it might be. After some time, you've had enough. You are tired. Whether you tired of the taste. Your stomach is reached so much, you can only eat so much. Whether it be sex life, there's only so much one can continue. Even if he wants to continue, he cannot. The body does not allow. If one wants to get into intoxication, there's only so much you can get drunk before either one kills himself or they lead into horrible conditions. So practically, we can see how in this world there's no enjoyment. It's false, but that takes time to understand. I'm still trying to understand. Yeah, to enjoy means to connect with Krishna. Then we can enjoy properly through our proper senses. Also, please elaborate on what you meant by the term spiritual suicide. Um, I first came across this term in the Bhagavad Gita, I think. Spiritual suicide, but I think Sabyasachi can better elaborate on this question. But from our own understanding, spiritual suicide means that because we are not these material gross bodies. In the Christian philosophy, it said ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So there's an understanding that this body is not us. We are not this body. Prabhupada tells us that this body is made out of the five gross material elements: fire, water, ether, air. What is this? Fire, water, ether, air, something that I'm forgetting. Earth, yes. Mind, intelligence, and false ego. This is what makes up the material body. But this is not our true identity. This is a material covering. What is the true identity? The true identity, as Krishna tells Arjuna in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, is that we are part and parcel of himself. We are the spirit soul, indestructible. Never was there a time where we were not born. Never was there a time we did not exist. Nor will there be a time where we do not exist. So we can see from his description, he's even telling us that the spirit soul cannot be cut up, it cannot be moistened by water, it cannot be burned by fire. Nothing can happen to the spirit soul. It is indestructible. Krishna is giving us our qualities in the Bhagavad Gita of what we really are. So when we are examining those qualities, we can see how different the spirit soul is from the material nature. We can see that this material nature, actually, this matter is dead. It's dead. Everything here is dead. Vaseline, whatever that you can see is dead. It is actually only made active by the presence of the soul. So if one is unaware of what they are, if you do not know that you are the spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, and your qualities, and that you are now Satchit Ananda, full of bliss, full of knowledge, and indestructible, that if you do not know this about yourself, and you think yourself to be this material body, as Prabhupada says, then you are no better than an ass. You're no better than an animal, he says. Because an animal does not know the difference between himself, does not know that he is a spirit soul. He thinks himself to be a dog or a cat. So Prabhupada says that we are just as good as these animals, just that we are dressed up, we drive motor cars, we're in fancy hotels, fancy apartments, we use cars, and whatever it might be that we might think that has made us advance. But Prabhupada says this is not advancement. Advancement is the cultivation of spiritual knowledge. So if one neglects this cultivation of spiritual knowledge and takes material life to be the be all and sum all of this life, then he is practically committing spiritual suicide because he is neglecting the purpose of this life. He is neglecting the purpose of this human body, which is for self-realization. I think it said Aham Brahman. Yeah, when one then comes to ask the question of who am I, what am I doing here, how to solve these, as Prabhupada has mentioned, old age, birth, disease, and sickness, how to solve these things. Yeah, it is only up until one asks those type of questions when one is really taking advantage of human life. So I hope I answered that question. But I think Sabyasachi does probably can elaborate further on how one practically commits a spiritual suicide. So, yeah. If there are any more questions, I'm more than happy to try to answer what I can. But yeah, please do catch. We have a Sunday morning inspiration at 10 o'clock. We have His Grace Agari Krishna Das. I'm really excited to see that actually. So Prabhu that I know a little bit. I was in contact with him for some time before he left to America. I think he's in America. Um, I hope he's still in America. Yeah, I think he's in America. He's doing some Krishna conscious activities there. So really looking forward to his talk. He was actually a Wits graduate, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's very nice to get to be able to hear him. Mm. But then a last closing point. Yeah, remember what you are. Know who is Krishna. Know yourself. Know the difference between matter and spiritual energy, and this will save you. Yeah, this will help you a lot. But once again, thank you very much. I appreciate everyone for coming to watch us. Appreciate those who will watch at a later time. I hope we've been able to serve you, and I hope we can continue to serve you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And do catch us. Do catch Savya Sashidas tomorrow at 7. Ask the Monk. Please do bring forward your questions. We really do appreciate them. Then as I mentioned, on Sunday morning, but the Sunday morning inspiration, we have a Gary Das who's going to be coming to talk. And that Sunday, we have Bongasipo who will be starting again from the wisdom reading. As I said, we don't sleep. We are always trying to provide this information through the grace of His divine AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm over time, so it's time for me to say good night. Thank you for joining me. Until next time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol.